Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Photographer's Favorites, the show where I pick 5 of my favorite photos from another photographer, and my guest picks 5 of their favorite photos from another photographer, and we talk about everything amazing that we love about these photos. So today, I'm really happy to have Konstantine Gus Mamalis with me. How's it going, Gus?
How you doing, Ray? Doing good.
I'm doing great, man. Yeah, dude, I really appreciate you setting aside the time and picking out some amazing photos, so looking forward to getting to those. Have you been doing any really good photography lately? What have you been up to?
Yeah, just been did a little bit of warblers this spring, but for the most part, been doing a lot of photography on screech owls. A couple families that I was following this spring, so it's pretty cool.
That's really cool when you find families like that. So you've been able to see young fledge and kind of that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, it's actually been incredible, man. Yeah, I've never experienced it before with at least for the screeches, but it's been amazing. It's even with some surprises in the mix.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
That's incredible right there, man. Look at that thing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love the look up. They do have a different look, but it's so cool to me that any bird species, but especially raptors, there's like this changeover, right? There's this cute fluffy stage, then there's just like all of a sudden they're killers, you know? It just goes like
Yeah, I sent you that one photo the other day and I haven't had a chance to post it, but it just looked like a completely different species.
Right? Exactly.
So it's pretty cool looking. It's nice to see those stages transform.
Totally.
So it's
yeah. Yeah, and I feel like it's just there's something different with raptors because I feel like songbirds and waders, they're kind of cute and then they just get awkward and they turn the adult stage. But there's something about any like predator bird, any bird of prey that goes from this cute, vulnerable stage to all of a sudden it's top,
And it's a very slow progression too, so you really get a chance to see it.
Yeah, definitely. How was warblers for you this year? Because at least I don't recall you putting as much effort and time into them in the past, but it looks like you had a really good season with them. So am I mistaken on that, or?
No, I mean I did pretty good, and I shoot with another photographer, Tony. Which and he's kind of pushed me a little bit onto the warblers.
Yeah.
And like we said earlier, I had really bad FOMO. So when I see some of the photos that he's produced with the warblers and I see your shots and I'm like, you know what, I really need to get in the mix. And, but I definitely had some good luck. Went out to a couple places where I was able to get some pretty good shots of some magnolias and blackburnians, which I've been literally dying to get a shot of for so long.
Incredible bird, isn't it?
It is an incredible bird, and next year it'll be the chestnut-sided warbler. I'd really like to get a shot of
nice.
But yeah,
nice,
I probably had some more success this year with different species than I have in the past.
Excellent.
So it was exciting. So
yeah, it's always nice to try something new and branch out a little bit, or just spend more time with other stuff. And we were talking about it right before we started recording, right? It's just we get into our thing, and then seasonally you're like, all right, this time of the year is when I do this is when this is good, and you kind of know it, right? So it's hard it's hard to throw that out the window and be like, well, let me go take a chance on this that could end up in little to no photos versus let me go stick with something that I know I can get every year. So I tend to end up doing the same thing.
And another thing is what I have noticed over the years shooting from when I first started to when I'm now, paying a lot more attention to the scenes as opposed to just the subject that we're shooting. And and it's weird because it's like when I first started, it's like, oh, I want to get close. And ever since I started, I've just gone wider and wider and wider.
Yeah, totally.
And there's a prime example of it.
Exactly. I love
the magnitude of their environment is incredible.
Yep. Yeah. No, that is a wonderful example. All right. Well, speaking of that, you ready to get into the show?
I'm ready, my friend. I'm ready.
All right, let's do it, Gus. Here we go. So we'll start with the first one you picked, and just incredible. Talking about predators, right? Great gray, top of the game right there. Love the intensity of this one. Like that's what everything kind of screams to me in this shot is intensity. The intensity of the expression, which these owls are notoriously known for. With that giant facial disc. But the intensity of the weather as well, getting them in that snow. To me, it's a different scene. Seeing a bird, winter bird, but let's say any great gray, perched in a tree that has snow or snowy background, like great. That shows winter. But when it's actively snowing at the same time, it just puts an added level of intensity or just winter onto that scene. So it tells a great story. And I love that. And I would love to know from the photographer, but it looks like this is probably the tree that it just took off from, because I feel like there's like a little kick of snow coming off the branches there from the explosive takeoff, which is really neat. So it's cool to see the perch that it probably just came from and is heading out to do a hunt. And that dark background just makes everything stand out, both the bird and the snow. So I love it, man.
No, absolutely. No, it's just the look alone and capturing that moment.
Yeah.
is incredible, and you know, the depth of the image is fantastic. You see the snow in different bokeh forms, and then
you're right. Yep.
Like you said, on the bottom with where the tree is, it just took off for that. You know what's going on in that photo. Tony could have posted that photo and not even put a description. You'd know exactly what was going on. So it was incredible.
Yeah, incredible moment. And just, what you said about the different bokeh levels of the snow. The other thing is, right, it's just the right amount of snow. Any more, and then it's going to start really obstructing your subject. Any less, and then there's not enough in the sky then it's just tiny white specks. And so it's just the right amount, which, obviously nothing any photographer can control. So to have that, in that moment is a nice touch as well.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. All right, let's hit the next one.
Cool. Beautiful image. Beautiful image. The Mallard is probably like, it's such a beautiful bird. We overlook it so much.
Right.
And it's like, it's funny because I think there was an American robin that showed up in the UK once.
Yeah.
Everybody lost their mind. Here we have them everywhere.
Yeah. Yep.
So I mean, it's just such a clean picture. You see the reflection in the water, the depth. I mean, it's just it's boom right there in your face.
Yeah.
It's preening. That's pretty cool. At least it looks like it is.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But it's one of the most overlooked ducks that we have.
Yeah.
And that we probably don't take enough photos of. But yeah, great picture. Love the colors.
Yep.
Definitely love what's going on there. To me, it's a perfect photo. Very clean.
Yeah. A couple of things you mentioned are the points that really stood out to me. It's a really clean photo. Like, that is a great description of it, I think, right? It's just got that clean look, clean light. There's nothing out of place there. And the colors, that color scheme of the green and the little bit of band of white back there that kind of mimics the band of white that we have here in the bird, I think is a really nice touch. But yeah, it's funny. I reached out to this photographer to ask permission to use the photo, and he was so happy that I chose it because he said the same exact thing that you said in the beginning, right? He's like, I'm so happy you chose this because it's one of my favorite photos recently, and it's such a common species that we all overlook. So he had the same exact thought. And that story you just mentioned about the robin reminds me of, I was recently this past spring in Alaska, and we're sitting there. I'm there with my friend, and we're photographing these Arctic terns flying around. There's a nesting colony there, right? And they're flying all over. And I'm like, this is amazing. These birds are gorgeous. And my friend and a couple of his friends that are local are chasing this red-winged blackbird around, like, out of their minds. And I'm like, what is going on here? It's an Arctic tern, Right. And they're like, exactly. Oh yeah, they're here every year, whatever. A red-winged blackbird it's such a rarity up there. It was so funny. So they're off chasing that thing I could care less about, No,
I hear you. I have a photo of a mockingbird. Incredible scene. I don't even know if I posted it. It's just a mockingbird. It's just a mockingbird, but it's all about what's going on in that photo.
You got it.
I was shooting at that right time, and it looks incredible. I'm just saying, like, the scene looks incredible, not my shot. I got lucky to be in that scene at that moment. Yeah. But yeah, it's just, we overlook a lot.
We definitely do.
We always want to chase that rare, that rare thing. So
yeah, it definitely happens a lot like that. So cool. All right, let's hit the next one here. Cool. Oh, speaking of Screech, keeping it with that. Nice. Right. Dude, insane light here. I would love to know what the lighting was from. It almost looks like there's like I almost would say like a street light outside, just casting some light in there, because it's very directional, you know what I mean? Coming in from behind. But I really like this photo to me, there's a couple of things that work well. Number one, we have the depth here. I love this little splash of foreground and the background. We got some nice out of focus leaf depth there. So that's really nice. But secondarily, Scott kept the photo dark, but not too dark and not too light. Right? I think he walked the balance quite nicely there because I see a lot of these nighttime-ish photos that I feel like are edited one way too far, one way or the other, you know? They're either too dark and you really can't see what's going on, or the photographer just exposed it so bright, you're like, it doesn't look right anymore. It just logically, it throws my brain off kind of thing. Sure. And especially with the eyes, right? That's another thing that I see sometimes with the owls where they're like, it's night, but their eyes are glowing. I'm like, what? Is there like a light source inside of these birds' eyes or something?
There's no
like, yeah, there should not be that bright, but this one feels just right. I mean, it's like right in the sweet spot where I can really see the yellow in the eyes, but it's not glowing. It's not insane. So the exposure and the edit on this is spot on. Really nice, dramatic, moody photo. I love the eye contact, and then just seeing the little talons right there is a nice touch too.
Oh yeah, no, and that's one of the reasons why I selected this photo, because when I first saw it, I was like, wow, what an incredible edit on this. Yeah. Obviously, incredible scene. But he edited this photo to make it match what he was seeing at that moment. Yeah. A lot of times we always get caught up in, like you said, bringing up that exposure because we want to see the detail, or
because you can.
Yeah, we can nowadays. But this photo, and I think I'm familiar with this where he shot this.
Okay.
And, the light source is probably the sun sets on that side.
Gotcha.
So it was dark, but there was more light source.
A brighter sky over there.
Yep. Area. I'm thinking I wasn't with him or anything, so I couldn't tell you, but that's what my initial thinking is.
Makes sense.
But just the fact that the way he edited this to make it match, and this is the prime reason why I selected this image, was because it matches what he saw. He didn't try dodging the other side of the bird. He didn't, none of that stuff. It's exactly how he took it. It's probably exactly how he saw it.
Yep.
And on top of it, it's, and I can tell you he shot it at a low exposure. So he definitely worked hard to get that photo. Yeah. There's probably like 10 other photos like it because we're trying, we're shooting at such slow shutter speed sometimes, we're just, we're
got to keep trying, right?
Got to get it at the right time. You got to wait for it to move and shoot it, whatnot. But incredible photo. It's probably one of the best ones that I gave you to select. It's one of my favorite ones that I've a screech from somebody else. And the biggest reason for it is because it's what he saw and it's how he saw it. So,
yeah, it looks very natural, and that's cool that the area, so you can kind of give some insight onto what would cause that lighting, because that's one of the things I really like about it. I love that directional lighting, like you said, right? Awesome. Not trying to light up the shadow side and kind of even it out. The direction gives it drama. It really does.
No, for sure.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, we're going to switch it up with the next photo. We're going to get out of the bird world for a little bit there. Go to some macro.
Awesome. It's probably one of the areas where I'm lacking is probably macro. I don't dabble.
Same here.
Last time I did it was when I was in Costa Rica.
Oh yeah.
Shooting the tree frogs, which was pretty cool. But this is a great photo, man. The bokeh.
I know.
The artifacts that are within the bokeh.
Yep.
The changes in the color. It's very abstract. I like it a lot. And it's silhouetted, so there's a lot of things going on here that really draws your focus. I like it.
Yeah, totally agree with you, man. Like the natural vignette that seems kind of built into this image, it doesn't look like forced or overly processed. It just looks like there's some dark foreground kind of being shot through there, which makes sense, right? That's why we're seeing, like you said, all those artifacts in the bokeh, which I'm such a huge fan of. It just kind of gives character to the bokeh somehow, instead of just like the clean round ball. I mean, it looks good both ways, but I definitely like the texture that's happening here in this photo.
Sure.
Yeah, and this photographer, he's like just to me one of the best, most creative macro guys that I follow. Every one of his shots is just like this beautiful color and abstract almost piece. It's just always really neat looking. So
I'm gonna have to follow that. I don't think I follow him. I'm gonna have to follow him.
Dude, it's insane. I mean, the stuff. It's just every photo is just like mind blowing to me. I'm like, how is he getting like finding this bokeh and stuff? It's really, really incredible stuff. So, yeah, he's a lot of fun to follow. And if I ever got into macro, this is definitely kind of more the style I would like. To me, it's fun. It's like it translates the same things I like about bird photography, right? This is a macro shot that's a little bit smaller in the frame, right? He's not like filling the frame with that thing. It's like a cool scene, good textures and light. Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect as far as the size and everything, and what he's striving for here. It's an awesome photo.
Definitely. Yep. All right, next one. Look at that thing. Those things are insane, man. Those silhouettes, those eyes are nuts. What an outstanding perch, Yeah. As soon as you get up into, I'm guessing this was shot way up north, just based on the look of that perch.
Right.
So, and I think based on where this photographer lives, it's probably, quite a ways up there. I mean, just adorable shot. I always love a good look back pose too, when any bird is facing the other way, but then their head is turned around. And obviously owls are certainly good at that with the way they can rotate their head around like that.
They definitely have the edge.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly. I mean, yeah, this isn't like a look back and you get one eye looking at you. This is like full head around eye contact. And it's really cool. There's nice bright greens in there, but the most vivid color in the shot are the eyes,
Oh yeah.
And another example of, I think, talk about a clean edit. Like, it's just spot on. Color contrast just look right on. It doesn't look over pushed, over processed in any direction. And just really nice character on that perch too.
No, absolutely. No, I love it. I think it's a perfect crop for Instagram. I think one of the reasons why I selected this photo was because I heard a little bit of the backstory. I think it was him and another gentleman that were out shooting and looking for these northern saw-whet owls. They put a lot of time in to go and find them. And that's part of the reason why I like this photo. They put in a lot of time, a lot of effort to go out and look for them, put the work in, and produce. And at the end, not only put the work in, but produce a photo of this magnitude. With clean background. It's very rare to get a saw-whet owl in this state.
Sure.
And then the perch is just almost incredible. I mean, it is incredible. Yeah. I mean, the colors, other than the eyes, that's probably the next thing that pops. So yeah, a little bit of jealousy. Why? It's because it's just so amazing, and the fact that they put the work in to get this on their own. It was not a lead. They just went out, looked for it, put the time in, and then they produced.
I'm so glad you shared that part of it, because that does do that. It, to me, especially when something that we don't really get to know when we first look at a photo, right? And listen, most bird photographers, wildlife photographers, the longer you do it, the more you can just recognize that certain species, certain shots just require that amount of work. There was some work going in behind it, but even at that point, until you really talk to the photographer or hear a story, and you just thankfully were able to share that you had heard more about the backstory of them, this photographer finding this bird. It's so great to hear the amount of work, because when you've put it in yourself, that how rewarding it is to put in an effort in the hopes that it's going to work out, because so many times it doesn't, And I mean, listen, you're super into owls, so you know that better than anybody else, how much time you go out and don't find anything, right?
No, absolutely. And look, don't get me wrong. I get leads all the time, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't, but there's still a sense of time that's being put in.
Yeah.
And, if we were baseball players, we would not make it. All the time. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you come out empty-handed a lot. So, but yeah, it's definitely more appreciated the longer you're doing this.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
This is just absolutely adorable.
Yeah.
It's that's great. Just the tree. I mean, this photos, and it's got to be looking at mom or something. Cause
I would think. Yep.
Yeah, and it's like it's almost like I'm asking for permission. Hey, am I allowed to do this?
Yep. Right. It does have that vibe to it. Yeah, totally.
Honestly, from like the first looking at this photo, the one thing that I absolutely love is not even the face. It's that back foot.
Oh yeah,
at the edge,
right?
Not
Yeah,
touched anything yet.
totally.
I mean, that's just like that's great, man.
Yeah.
The background's clean. You can see the other two trees in the back.
Yes.
You can see the pattern of the trees and everything, and that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that photo a lot.
Yeah, I love what you pointed out. It's one of the same things that really makes it to me. That little to me both the legs, right? This one just like so bent and then kicking out. I mean, it almost screams like that it's having fun, like almost playing around in the tree. You know what I mean?
Literally.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And who knows, right? It could be like this thing could have been scrambling up away from danger or something, but it doesn't seem that way. It does look more of like a casual, comfortable pose. It doesn't seem too freaked out. And the fact that it's small enough to still be kind of skinny, because bears usually when we see them on the ground, right, they're pretty big. They're filled out. So that this thing's just got like this skinny little belly and tiny looking. It's hilarious. So
it's awesome. I love this photo.
Yeah, this one this is a shot that to me is just, it screams personality, right? There's so much personality in this shot. And I too love what you mentioned about those logs in the back, the other trees kind of out of focus in the background, just giving us more context of that forest. So yeah.
I have a dash cam on my truck. So when I was down shooting bears last year, I wasn't even going fast. I wasn't loud. I was just early in the morning, just trucking along, and these two cubs just literally slid down the tree. The trees go like insane, everything everywhere, and then they just run off. I mean, I didn't even have a chance to stop. So seeing this, it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. No, it's got to be. I mean, yeah, when you see that through your lens, you are shooting like crazy and hoping, please be in focus. Like, you have those moments. I had it a few times recently on my loon workshops where I had a client and we get this one pass, like we're sitting there and all of a sudden like the family comes by and the chicks are on the back or something. They cruise right by us for some reason because they're cool with us now, and they shoot like crazy. I'm like, oh yes, because I'm just like paddling and just watching it. I'm like, oh yes, you nail it, and they're like, I hope so. Like, gotta check, I'm like, go ahead, you can check.
I don't have one shot of them, and I try to get that opportunity because of the way they flew down that tree. But yeah, I guess after a while they kind of get used to you, or depending where you're at. So
yeah.
That's
but
pretty cool.
There's that instinct that you just have to check it right there after some amazing moment like that happens to make sure you got it and didn't screw it up in some way.
Time. I did it the other night.
Did you?
Yeah.
Nice. That's funny. What a family here. I mean, come on, those two out of focus in the back like that, sticking out. That's just incredible. That's so cool. I'm guessing they are all younger barn owls, all three, or is that the parent?
I'm not sure. I would.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. I haven't.
Gotcha.
I haven't shot barn owls in the past. Yeah. It could be, but I'm pretty sure I thought that was the mom.
Gotcha. Yeah. But in any case,
I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that.
So those two heads.
I don't know.
No, that's okay, man. Yeah, it's all good. Those two heads peeking out in the back make the shot. They really do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, barn owls, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful owls we have around. They're just such a gorgeous species, no doubt. And even if I try to just ignore those second birds back there, great shot as is, nice lines. We got the texture. I mean, literally the name is in the background there. So that's a really nice tie-in, So that alone is a good thing. But then add those two freaking heads like peeking out like that. It's just over the top. And they're almost looking out like, kind of, again, if we start kind of putting human traits onto them, just like you did with the last one, saying like the bear may be looking for permission. I feel like it's the same thing. They're like looking for permission to come out, like, is it safe? Are we allowed to come out?
Right.
So funny. And I like the edit on this again with that, a little bit of that blue dusky feeling to it. So you can tell it's dark. It's not real bright out. It's getting in towards the nighttime, but it's not overly driven. It's not too insanely blue or anything. It's just like nice, sweet spot. Great light. You can see the eyes. All that works well.
For sure. I think you might be right. I think they're all three juveniles. Now that I'm looking at it a little bit more. But I wouldn't. I wish I could tell you that I shot barn owls more. but I just haven't. But
Gotcha.
one of the things I like, I mean, just like on top of what you said, we talk about environment, and this is their environment. That's
Yep.
that's how that's why they're called what they're called. Barn owls. You got the barn in the background. One of the greatest things I like about this is that she was able to crop this photo with the two in the background and the one in the foreground at the rule of thirds on each side, and then they're both looking at us, which is great. It ended up working out perfectly in that aspect. But you got a lot of things going on there. The structure in the background, the owls, the look, everything. It's just a great photo all the way around, and also rare. And it's my understanding that Tracy put in a lot of work to get this photo.
Nice.
So we go back to that, putting the work in, putting the time in. I think that's an important backstory, no matter who you are. But definitely a great photo all the way around. I love it.
It certainly is. And digging even deeper into that thirds thing you mentioned, it's really cool how, and it's subtle on this bird, but both of them are still looking into the frame. So this bird's on this side, and there's a subtle looking in here. These two are definitely looking in. And it's no accident that this bird is placed perfectly in between these vertical lines there, so we don't have any crazy line coming out of the head. Like that's, there's a lot of thought that went into this composition because, honestly, you lean the camera like, 6 inches to the right, and all of a sudden you got this big bold line coming out of the head that just doesn't lay out the same. So
perfect framing.
Yep. Paying attention to those little details makes such a big difference.
And it's so hard to do that a lot of times, especially when you're shooting low light and owls. And
I'm sure.
Pin, they're out,
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that you're just, and then nowadays there's so many, I don't know with other cameras, but I know from moving from Nikon to Sony, with Sony, there's so many settings. It's like, oh my God. And I got like really bad ADD. So I mess up a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, I got to be more cognizant of everything and be more focused. And I'm thinking about taking some Adderall before I go out on the shoot. Like that's how bad it can be.
Well, and how many times, Gus, especially for what you're shooting with those scenarios, right? You're plunked down on a tripod. You have to be for these long exposures.
Oh, yeah.
You finally get everything lined and set up, and then the bird moves, even if it's just like an inch or two, and then there's a leaf or a branch or something, and now you got to change everything again. You're like, that's got to drive you insane.
Especially the juveniles, because the juveniles are just going like this the whole time. Going crazy, and it's like,
hold still.
Please calm down. Please calm down. I'm not, please. And as they get older, they get more calm and everything. And I've noticed that from last year, but yeah.
So funny, man. All right. A little bit of a colorful bird for you here.
Yeah, this is awesome, man. Western tanager. That's the foreground here is really awesome. I love how the way they frame that with the foreground and the leaves in the front of it blurred out. Beautiful perch, clean perch. And it's just, it's amazing. I love the colors on this bird. But definitely a nice image right here.
Yep.
Frame that perfectly where the bird's positioned. Rule of thirds all the way around.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, definitely. I love, and I'm pretty sure I can be pretty confident in guessing that that's like, so it was shot Vancouver Island. So we know it's kind of hilly there, right? So this is definitely one of those background hills, mountainsides in the background. I love the color of a distant like mountainside in the background. That deep kind of desaturated blue that it gets is such a nice look. Every single time I see it in a photo, it makes me jealous of people that live in areas that have those because they don't exist where I live. So it's not even a possibility. But that to me, the foreground makes the shot. It's a great shot without that, but then it's just kind of bird on a stick without that foreground there. So the introduction of that foreground just gives the photos an extra added layer of depth and color. So it just
absolutely
beautiful all the way around. Yep.
No, for sure. I had the opportunity to shoot short-eared owls a couple years ago where they were positioned right in front of the Blue Ridge. So you had that blue coloring in the background. I think I got a couple shots with it with the short-eared owls with that background. But usually they're on the other side. But I was pretty fortunate to get some shots with that background. So.
Well, and especially with a shorty, right? Because they're such a warm, like brownish
Right.
color, so it really got to pop against that distant
Absolutely.
blue. Yep, nice, dude. Uh Gray with his rabbits, man. He's been going nuts with these things, and he knows it. I can say that. It's no
He
surprise to
definitely
him.
does.
Yeah, he definitely does. But I mean, listen, here's a absolute perfect example of focusing on a target and really working it. Another species that so many people often overlook. Eastern Cottontails, super common, at least around me,
Right.
but not a species I spend a lot of time with. And he just continues to push and work with them, and he captures shot like this that have so much personality. I mean,
Yeah.
doesn't get much better lighting wise than that.
Nope.
But again, just like I like a good look back pose on a bird, it works really good here too. And
You really have to think about who's got the edge now.
yeah, yeah,
The owls.
exactly. Well, and not a pose I get to see. I don't think maybe I've seen it in person, but not common with the rabbits completely up on the hind legs like that. So it's just a really neat look. And just like he says in his caption, he mentions that they're curious. That's the look that this rabbit has. It's definitely got that curious kind of what's going on back there look. And yeah, background just melts away, eye level perspective. In fact, he's so low, I think he's looking up at it, which is pretty funny.
Right, exactly.
So he nailed it.
Yeah, it's an awesome photo. One of the things I like about this photo, he didn't try to remove that highlight in the middle to the top of the image. I think that that creates a good look with that slightly blown highlight above the head. I like that a lot. The pose obviously is incredible.
Yeah.
It's it's definitely clean. He's got that low perspective. We all like that low perspective. Just really makes an image pop.
Yeah.
And there's nobody that I can tell you that shoots rabbits better than Gray does.
Agreed.
And it's like I shot him a message the other day because where I shoot the screeches, there's just tons of rabbits.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm just gonna start shooting rabbits until time comes. I sent them a couple screenshots. He started laughing, and I was like, "Man, you really got to watch out." And I sent him a link to the rabbit scene from Monty Python.
Oh, nice.
I'm sure you've ever seen that. So we started. It was just a funny moment between me and him. But it's definitely he's definitely raising the bar on rabbits. So it's pretty cool. And I saw this image and I was like, you know what? This is just an incredible image. We gotta share this one.
Yeah, certainly.
So,
it's
perfect timing.
I so appreciate any photographer that zeroes in on a subject and just does it to the best of their ability and just keeps pushing and gets great shots and then doesn't stop. Like for me, it's so easy, and what I pretty much do all the time, right? I'll work a species for a little while, and then I get a nice series of shots. I'm like, okay, got it. Next, like I'm on to the next thing. So any photographer that just really stays with it, I give so much credit, because that to me is when you start elevating into the behavioral shots, which are, that's really challenging. Everybody can get a lot of really good portraits of wildlife, but when you start getting into behavioral stuff and that, there's no other way around it other than to put in a ton of time. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're 100% right there. And you can tell that rabbits hold a special place in Gray's heart.
Yep.
Because I have the same feeling with Eastern Screech Owls. There's something about the Eastern Screech Owl that I'm just in love with it. Last year when I was with this one, with the one, photographing the one family, and I told Tony, I was like, man, I think I got a little depressed when they went on their way.
Yeah. Yeah, you get a connection.
It's gonna happen again this year, and I was like, man, I'm a little depressed.
Yeah.
So, but
you definitely get a connection with your subject, and to me, that's part of why we're doing it. This is why we're out there, right?
100%. Yep.
Yeah, and that's something I think photographers get that, the average just. And I'm not trying to put them down at all, but a birder or something like that doesn't really get, because they don't tend to spend the same amount of time that a photographer may with a subject and form that connection, even if it's one way, right? Even if it's our connection with them.
No, I don't mean it in a bad way, but I think it's at the end of the day, it's quality versus quantity. They're checking off their life list, and which is fine. Everybody's got their thing.
Exactly.
But it's just. Plus, we're addicts. We're addicts when it comes to this.
100%, dude. Yes. Yeah. No denying, man. Yeah, you kind of have to be, I think, to get to the quality of some of these. Yeah. All right, here's our last photo.
This is a great photo. This is awesome. Kind of high key. I like that. You see you see the entire environment.
Yeah.
It's nice. I like it. I like it. So it's like a more like a landscape type shot.
Yep.
And there's something going on over there, and he's following the other one, and
yep.
For food, it's telling a story. I like it.
Yeah, it definitely is. The caption on this photo really elevates it as well. That's something that I think is often overlooked with viewers of photography. It's so easy with Instagram. We just kind of blast right through, and you don't even. We're all busy, right? I get it. So it's not like you can just take the time to read everything. But if you can slow down and read some captions, sometimes some photographers put a lot of effort into them. And I just love the concept of what he talked about in this one, that this tree's been there so long, and how many different wildlife encounters have happened in the presence of this tree over who knows how long the lifetime of this tree could be, ages.
Sure.
And his little mention of two foxes in love, so I'm guessing it probably could be like vixen in front and then the male following behind.
Cool.
It might be the time of year where they're doing some courtship kind of stuff. And so it just adds another whole element to it. But I love how the tree kind of splits the two fox on each side. There's kind of like there's kind of like a separation there, but yet there's still a connection because you can see they're following and the one's following in the other one's footsteps, and definitely going to be together at some point in the near future. But there's definitely just an interesting story to it, and overall with the high key and that tree, it just really has almost like a painterly feel, which is something that this photographer excels at. So
it's awesome. Yeah, it's a good picture. I like it a lot.
A nice mood to it for sure. So well, that's it, dude. We did it, man. We made it through a whole series. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, sure thing, man. All right, I got to hear about that.
Yeah, so this is I was acquainted with somebody who she has a pair of great foxes basically in her backyard.
Nice.
She let me come and witness them and see them. They're extremely shy, but they kind of roam the whole neighborhood. But it was an incredible experience. I visited the place twice actually.
Okay.
And right near, the perfect habitat for them, right near the water. We were hoping to possibly find it then this past year, but unfortunately, obviously there's more than one property owner, so this kind of limited. But it's like in central southern Maryland, perfect habitat, right near the water, and
so cool.
You might get lucky sometimes. You might not. You might not. And I got lucky. They came around and.
Did you have to were you using like a hide for this, or how was that approach?
No, I just kind of. I was under her porch.
Gotcha. Okay. Well then, yeah.
Lights off.
Yep.
She's got a little bird set up too, so she's got like the
nice.
She got like some feeders and stuff for the birds and stuff. But other than that, yeah, so it was a nice situation. I got lucky, so
no, that's really cool, man.
I actually was down in North Carolina recently, and one was just trolling through the parking lot.
No kidding.
During the day, it was the craziest thing. I was like, I've been looking for a gray fox for years.
Yeah,
and I went down there in the hopes of maybe getting in contact with someone, maybe finding one. I didn't really have time. It was more of a family getaway.
Okay.
But we get out of the restaurant, and my buddy's like, dude, there's a gray fox right in the parking lot. And I looked over to my right, it's just trolling through. I didn't have my cameras on me.
Dude,
we ended up walking into like some shrub.
Yeah.
But, it was great, man. It was,
that is cool.
It was a pretty cool. I have a cell phone video of it.
There you go. Yep. You got to use what you have, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing that story. Gus, what's coming up for you now? So how much longer do you expect the Screech families you've been spending time with to be around? Is that coming to an end pretty soon?
Probably got about another month until they start.
Oh, okay, nice.
On their own. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe it's about a month and a half. I believe it was like beginning of September.
Okay.
Because eventually they get pushed out and they have to, find new territory, their own territory, and
yeah.
But which is odd because there was another place that I was shooting screech owls, and I came across like 3 adults in the same spot.
Wow.
Which is really odd because it's nesting season.
Yeah.
And typically they're going to kick anybody out.
Yeah.
And it didn't. There's got to be overlapping territories. So there's 4 of these guys this time. So who knows?
Yeah.
If obviously the strong is going to live. Unfortunately,
sure.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Hopefully, all 4 of them. But there's an opportunity where they could be expanding in this general area, and maybe there might be some overlapping territories in the years to come. We'll see.
Yeah.
But 4 offspring is pretty incredible. We thought there were 3, and then all of a sudden we seen one peeking behind the tree, and that one shot.
Kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you look at that one shot where they're on the tree, it's kind of low light. It's not the greatest composition, but it's not the composition is great. The lighting was not the greatest. That one right there on the right.
This one here?
Yeah, if you look closely at the bottom, you'll see that 4th one peeking out from the side.
Right there.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we didn't know this, and that was kind of one of the surprises that we had. We didn't know this until about 3 months in. So
okay.
We're like, wow, where did the 4th one come from?
That's incredible. Yeah, I had no idea that must not be a common thing. I didn't even know they did 3.
Yeah, I think somebody recently had 5.
Wow.
In a nest that they were photographed. I could be wrong on that, but I'm almost positive.
Dude, those parents got a lot to kill to feed that many.
Oh my God. Well, the cicadas made it. Easy. I got several shots with cicadas and with the screeches. I was
That's
very
really
fortunate.
Cool.
Very fortunate to get that.
That's really cool.
But yeah, man, it's been cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say probably until about September.
Excellent.
Early to mid-September is probably the latest. Then they'll start to move out.
Gotcha.
Try to do their own thing. So
cool, man. Well, excellent. Well, keep up with it, dude. As always, I'm sure I'm looking forward to seeing what else you come up with, and I'm sure you'll enjoy your time with them until they leave. And then you're a little depressed, but you'll get over it.
Exactly.
You'll find something else to photograph.
I know. Yeah, I'm sure I will.
Gus, thank you so much for.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a great time getting to know you a little bit more, and you picked out some great photos. It was a lot of fun. So thanks again.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to join us for this, and I'll see you next Saturday for the next one.